Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Titanic Talks. It is I, Titanic Sinclair, your host, and I am so happy that you have decided to click the button to listen to my voice. I hope you are doing well. I suppose a lot has changed since we last had a little chat, hasn't it? It's been a beautiful, beautiful Saturday here in Texas, in the United States of America. 100 degrees. You know what that means. Your boy is melting. And I went ahead and thought maybe I'll wear jeans and a t-shirt today. And that was a mistake because my clothes were sticking to me. If you hear in the background any additional noises, it's because we have an additional member to our tiny little family. My son was born, I suppose that was, 4 weeks ago today. And he is an absolute bundle of joy. Definitely these past several weeks have been without a doubt the happiest of my entire life. Everyone told me that was going to happen, and I was like, no, it's going to be different for me. You're probably thinking at this point, I'm sensing a trend, and if you're sensing that trend, it's because that trend is correct. Here I am thinking that I'm, for some reason, going to think differently about things or have some sort of new, profound insight into the giant things in life, such as creating a human being and watching them come out of a vaginal canal. But I don't, because I'm just another person. And I'm just on this ride with all of you, and all I can report back is that it is exactly what everyone said it would be like. So many people told me, hey, right when they come out, your life's going to change and everything's going to change and this and that. And for me, it was a deeply profound and beautiful and spiritual thing. There's so many, I'm still kind of processing it. You see your significant others who you love very much, and they're in pain, and that's not something I've experienced before, especially to that degree, where it's a physical pain, and there's so much, there's so many interesting pieces of the puzzle as far as the process of labor and delivery, and it's part of me, throughout my life, there's been a very I try to be a problem solver, and if there's an issue, I'll do anything within my means and ability, and hopefully savvy and boyish charm, to be able to fix that problem, right? And this is one of the first instances in my life where there really was nothing that I could do other than to be there, and be supportive, and at least from a daddy. Feel free to refer to me officially as Daddy or Zaddy, if you will. But there's that to me was the first. Okay, like, I've become a father now. Sometimes there are things that I cannot physically or strategically things that I can do to remedy whatever the issue is at hand. And I would say I was maybe a little ill prepared for that, because there's a certain helplessness when someone's in that kind of pain. And the labor process for us was just under like 23 hours. And me being a relatively naive or maybe aloof type of person when it comes to medical situations, I try to pretend like they don't exist, as many of us do, particularly those with anxiety. And if you fall on the spectrum of what is referred to as a hypochondriac, and I certainly do. So it was an absolutely mind-blowing and insightful day. And really, it was a whole day. So I thought, oh, I'm in labor. I thought it was like the movies, right? Where it's, screaming and pushing. And I would always hear like, wow, you were in labor for, 18 hours or 23 hours, 40 hours, some people. That is just the pushing and the delivery itself, and it's a whole different ball game. And those of you who have gone through this before, maybe you've delivered a baby. If you're listening, if you had, congratulations. Hopefully it was as smooth as it can be. And for the fathers listening, I think maybe you'll hopefully understand kind of where I'm coming from here. But you have the process of the dilation, and these wonderful doctors and nurses and anesthesiologists and the people who make this whole birthing process seemingly, or I would say remarkably smooth for how insane the whole thing is. I've got to say it was very eye-opening, and I've got to give huge props to Chelsea for 3 pushes. That's all it took, and our beautiful baby boy was in the world. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen a human being make those kind of faces before. both him and her. It was pretty funny. And, it was one of those things where in that helplessness, or at least perceived helplessness, because I felt like, it's like, oh, if I wish I could just like transfer, myself into her body and just get through this for her, kind of thing. What I very quickly realized when that absolute silliness and silly line of thinking, I had to pivot really quickly and be like, all right, well, hey man. And luckily I've had a lot of very, very wise people and people who've been through before who were kind enough to kind of give me some pointers there. And I just kind of reminded myself like, hey man, you know what? Just be here for her no matter what and how crazy and just wild the whole process is. And this just be the Rock, be Dwayne the Rock Johnson throughout this process. And I can't stress enough how impressed and proud and humbled and just absolutely joyful I am for her, and what a beautiful miracle life is. If you hear a jingling bell, that's because Kiki, my feline friend here, who has ignored me for weeks, now insists on being in my lap. Hello, Kiki. Would you like to say something to our listeners? She is in the recovery process. She had a bit of a procedure 3 days ago, and she had the complete opposite of what I experienced with my family in birthing a child. Kiki had her ovaries removed. She has been fixed, as they say. And as far as cats go, I've had many cats, many pets before, and I don't know if fixed is the right word for for what she currently is. Somehow she's become more insane. So I'm just gonna see if I can't just scratch the scruff of her neck here and see if she'll chill out. We were outside this evening in our beautiful home here in Texas, and I recently set up a bit of a vibe in the backyard. You know, living in the city. I was a big city boy, as you know, for quite some time, and I always had this fantasy of just moving out to the country and having a backyard. That's how it was when I grew up. Not so much in the country, and we were close, but it was suburban. It was the burbs, and so now kind of being pretty far out in the middle of nowhere. Out here, we have a beautiful yard, and I set up the Vibe station, which is just a nice little place to hang out with the family and grill and enjoy being able to lay in a hammock or out on the patio and just look at the light coming through the leaves of the beautiful oak trees and pine trees, and notice the little changes in the direction of the wind. Those little kind of elements, I think that we all tend to take for granted as the hustle and bustle and chaos of life kind of get the best of us. And I absolutely was ignorant of that for a very long time. I'd say about 10 years. And as I get older and start thinking more about family and real life, and the things that are truly the bringers of joy in life, I'm noticing that getting out of the city and relaxing, taking deep breaths, and taking a good part of every single day to step away from the computer and the phone and just think. And having a little baby boy absolutely has influenced that line of thought. It's one of those things where he's almost 1 month now, and the things that you pick up on as a new parent are quite apparent. I didn't know that when babies first come out, their pupils are very, very small. They're like little pins, and apparently that's so they don't get too bothered by bright light, and also they don't blink. I noticed him blinking for the first time today, and that was kind of an interesting thing. He's starting to really try to lift his head When he first started lifting his head, it was quite humorous. It would take all of his energy. He would make these hilarious. He's a really funny. I want to make a little soundboard of little baby boy noises because it's quite humorous to me. And he would I remember the first time he even tried to lift his head, he had a really strong kind of thing going on. And that made me laugh. Those are the things that make me laugh lately. It was absolutely adorable. But yeah, he's starting to blink. He's trying to lift his head. He's starting to squirm around because the first probably 3 weeks, you've got this little nugget, and for the most part, they just sleep. That's pretty much it. And everyone warned me, oh, hey man, get to sleep while you can and this and that, which I'd probably say the same thing to a new parent, but before baby comes. But hey, your main man has not had a regular sleep schedule in quite some time. And so I just started looking at it as being jet lagged. And that helped a lot, actually. Just kind of, hey, I'm wide awake at 4:30 in the morning, and I don't even know what being tired means anymore. But you just, you adapt and take your little cat naps, and I think we've got a pretty nice little system down to where we trade off. I can definitely tell when she's ready to just book a flight and go to Fiji. And not be a human being for several weeks, which is absolutely understandable. In the same way, it's kind of like when you're papa, when you're the daddy. If I could provide milk, I absolutely would. But it's just not the way Mother Nature would have that be. So I really, going through the pregnancy is one thing, and you've got all of the pregnancy stuff, which is wild, and then the actual delivery, and then baby is here, and it's such a joyous and spiritual and just profound thing, because so much can go wrong. And I'm noticing, even just, he's only a couple weeks old, but just how lucky we are, and how lucky he is. And I hope his entire life, he'll have an understanding of how lucky he is, even just from the standpoint of, I remember going to the ultrasounds and meticulously counting all the fingers and toes to make sure, and all the developmental things, you get concerned as a parent, and I think very quickly realize, I used to think it was so just, I used to scoff when I would hear people say the miracle of life. And now I'm fully aware that it is absolutely nothing short of a miracle. And you start, or at least I've started kind of noticing, the challenges not only for the children, but for the parents of the unfairly disabled youngsters out there, who by no fault of their own have a disability of any sort. These are things that I really didn't necessarily think of a lot until quite recently. And I'm glad to start thinking in that way, it can be challenging for sure. And I think that's why I kind of would, I never turned a blind eye to it, but I would just kind of try to rush it out of my head. And now, I've got nothing but empathy and support and love, for all families out there. And I understand all the different challenges. My current challenge is trying to get this cat to settle down. And it sounds like the baby boy is sleeping. So I think we've picked a good time to record this here. So a couple of weeks have passed by. Yesterday I decided throughout the process of this whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard debacle, spectacle, perhaps, I think my close friends and family will all tell you that I've been really holding my tongue. Really holding my tongue. And, I think after watching, I went outside and just kind of thought about it for about 45 minutes after the closing statements yesterday that were made in court. And I just took about 45 minutes and stared into the sky. There's just, really severely relatable to that whole thing. Incredibly relatable. And I thought, you know what, I had kind of a couple things that I started to write, and I was just like, no, that's not really my place. And I just, I thought about it and was like, well, what's my way of kind of communicating an idea? Do I do an hour-long video about it, or do I go point by point and this and that? And I was just kind of like, you know what? I already know the way that I kind of get ideas out, and a lot of people have responded to that. And I thought, well, maybe it's time for that good old-fashioned white paper backdrop, and blinding soft lighting a la computer show. And there's been a couple of iterations of what that looks like. To me, it was always the same thing. I mean, even when I was in high school before YouTube or anyone that I've worked on YouTube stuff with, that's what I did. I had a boss. His name was Tom. May he rest in peace. He's unfortunately not with us anymore. But he was a photographer at a company that I worked for. He was a bit of a mentor and a great man. And he would let me stay after hours at the company that had a bunch of like audio, visual, and photography equipment. And my buddies and I would go after hours, and suddenly we had access to a substantial amount of recording and video, photo equipment. And he was really cool to not only let us utilize that stuff for our silly little high school videos, but that's how I learned a lot of things about photography, because he was brought up on 4x5 and 35 millimeter, and he had a really nice Hasselblad medium format film camera, and he would show me how to use that stuff. And he just happened to have a 9-foot wide seamless paper backdrop, Arctic white, and it's hilarious when people accuse you of of copying them when it's something that you've been doing before you even knew they existed. So imagine that. But that was, and really the idea for the white backdrop for me, that came from these old Apple computer commercials, and really those were kind of the main ones. I just liked how clean it looked, and there's nothing, when you have a plain white or a plain black backdrop, it really kind of makes you focus on the content or the character or the person in front of it, so there's no distraction whatsoever. And the reason I've always done just very soft, even lighting on those is because you're not even influencing any sort of drama with cinematography, if that makes any sense. You can, if you do the same thing and you light it completely, harshly from just one side or directly above, you're going to get, an ominous or a kind of Rembrandt theatrical feel. And by doing it with just soft, head-on lighting, high key, if you will, it kind of eliminates those what could be considered subliminal or subconscious motivators. And also, this, I guess I've never really talked about this, but part of the reason I always kind of stuck to just like the plain white backdrop, what I always wanted to do is just to shoot on, big cyc walls, almost like the scene in The Matrix where they make all the guns appear, or, a lot of like car commercials, you'll see these just giant, cyc walls or cyclorama walls. And it gives the appearance of an infinity wall. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as. But I was just a broke kid, and I couldn't do that. But what I could do is pay $80 or whatever it was to get a white paper backdrop from the camera store, and that would at least, as long as I didn't shoot too wide, so you couldn't see the edges. And it would give the impression that it was just a white void, as I always referred to it as. And so, as life went on, people watched a bunch of those videos. Most people listening to this, are probably just familiar with, two people that I did those with. And so, once there's a big hoo-ha in the media about, oh, you ripped this off and this and that, I think, to me, it was like, well, I've done this with like 40 people. It only worked with two of them. So like, sorry for doing the thing that I was the only thing I could afford that looked good. And so, fast forward to 2 days ago, and I thought, well, you know what? I'll get another paper backdrop and set it up in my little studio here. And I gotta say, it was certainly therapeutic. It was like driving in an old car, if that makes any sense, or just kind of being back in the saddle. And I've made thousands of videos in that style before, so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I gotta say, it was certainly fun, and I think I'm gonna do more of them because the response has been pretty great. The amount of friends and people very close to me who watched it were very encouraging, and it made me feel really good. So, that's a lesson in life, I suppose. And it's pretty hilarious to me, considering that being inspired to actually, fire up the old engine again, was influenced by the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. I mean, come on, guys. If you've made it this far into this, and you've listened to me or seen the things that I've worked on long enough, you know exactly how I feel about it. I mean, every every 15 seconds, for the first like probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks, everyone was asking me about it, and I avoided it. I was just like, it's going to bring up too many bad thoughts, or bad memories, or that's what I thought. And then it became unavoidable, and just about every 10 or 15 seconds, while watching it, in the back of my head, I couldn't help but think, oh my God, I wish I could have been able to go to court. Oh my God. Because you really get to see who someone is. And, up until this point, I don't necessarily, even now, it's been good to do these Titanic talks, episodes, because I do think it's a good way, to at least, I still, I don't feel like I'm important enough to like tell my story. Because just like anything in life, the truth, well, it's two-sided, the truth does tend to be stranger than fiction, but two, you got to remember, there's publicists and agents and so many people involved, especially when it's a high profile thing. And this, I mean, obviously, we're talking about Johnny Depp. He's like one of the most famous people ever on the planet. So I am not comparing myself at all. All I'm saying is it hits extremely close to home. And I think, I've been through the ringer enough where I do, I do kind of feel bad for her, because I know what having the internet hate you feels like. And as much as we can pretend like, oh, it's just the internet and this and that, it's like, nah, man, it absolutely messes with you and messes you up. And on the flip side of it, all of the things that have come out about her, which were just extraordinarily on point with things that I've seen. Two things can be true at the same time, and two people can be definitely not great for each other. And I understand there's definitely like kind of a world's smallest violin that people rightfully so can say about Johnny Depp, and oh, he's got all this money, and even if it's not true, he'll be fine, and this and that. And it's like, yeah, but he's still a human being. And I just think about when I used to, just for fun, to be silly, to make my friends laugh, go after people on Twitter or whatever. There's a certain amount of dehumanization that goes on. Even if it's a split second of like, oh, well, they can, that's part of being a public figure. And I don't know, the older I get, the less I feel that way. And so it's a tricky one. And I think it really does boil down to, because this whole case, it's about, it all boils down to, was there malice involved in her writing that op-ed? canceling him. I don't care what anyone says. Nothing will convince me that that was not done maliciously, and that was not done in an effort to take advantage of this whole movement, which has led to all of this cancellation. And as someone who has lived with this every single day for years and knows what it's like to meet someone for the first time and then have them Google you and then having to explain yourself. Because look, imagine dumb to dumb, you're going through your life, and someone very close to you who you've never really had an issue with suddenly decides, oh, by the way, they did horrible things to me. Right? Imagine this is you. And so suddenly this person who you really, really went to bat for and really, really cared about and loved very much, and then suddenly they're saying all of these horrendous, untrue things about you. Meanwhile, all of your friends and all the people who know you very, very well are saying, what is going on? Why is this happening? I know this isn't true, but can you please confirm it's not true? I feel crazy for even asking. And you're like, no, this is really wild. And then everyone says, you got to go talk to this attorney, and you have to talk to this crisis counselor, and you have to talk to this therapist and this and that. And everyone tells you, oh yeah, just go away for a while. It's probably best to just go away for a while. When all you want to do is just post screenshots from your phone that can disprove everything. But you listen to the experts, quote unquote, and the next thing you know, you're dropped from your management and agents, and suddenly your famous friends don't. They'll still call you and talk to you, but they're not going to tag you. That's for sure. Hey, I loved that thing that you made. It's so good. God, this is really genius. This is great. And just in the back of my head being like, yeah, thanks. Not that everything that you make should be tagged and reposted, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, hey man, 2 weeks ago, but that's the world we live in now, and I don't want this to be woe is me, because I literally don't care anymore. It's just like I have a completely new life where I'm actually healthy and happy and doing the things that, funnily enough, I was working towards the entire time. I thought for some reason I had to have this big celebratory moment of ego. And then once you destroy the ego completely and, spend a small fortune on therapists, it's, you just realize the things that matter are holding your baby boy while you swing in the hammock and just look at the wind blowing the leaves. And all this stuff is really, truly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Maybe not the most poetic way of going about explaining very, very quickly how I've been feeling about that whole thing. But, you think about it every day. And I hope at some point in my life I'll be able to at least understand. I think I know why. People have said terrible things about me. I think the why is there. And that's something that they have to live with. It's kind of more of the how. How could you do that to someone? because I had plenty of opportunities, and anyone who knows me very closely has seen the screenshots and the emails and the videos and the security footage and everything. They know, universally, hey, like career ending on multiple accounts. But you know what? To me, it's, I remember a couple people very close to me, saying like, do you really want to spend another year or two reliving this, or you just want to move on? And ultimately, I made the decision to move on. And that's one of the better decisions I've ever made. Because letting go of baggage, that's something that I wish I would have learned to do a very long time ago. And only over the past couple of years did I really embrace that. So there you have it. Just a quick little segment there to complement the Amber Heard is innocent video. That was a really hard one to not laugh at while doing it. And you know what? I really haven't done that computer show style in a long time. That's just, to me, it's just, that's how I like to present ideas. And I applied that, to multiple projects, because that to me has been for quite some time just the smartest and funniest and most humorous and most entertaining way that I thought. And it's a stylistic thing that look, I've made thousands of them and wrote them all. They didn't always have a script, but the older I get, I tend to kind of script them more. But fun stuff, fun times, and it was good to dust off the old camera, because I've been pretty much up to my neck in Unreal Engine, making videos there. Thank you for everyone who's been tuning into Illuminati Island. That I had to take a little bit of a break on that, because they're extremely time consuming to make, and you kind of have to be in the zone. And ever since Baby Boy came, that just that has not been realistic whatsoever. So I'm excited to pick those back up as well. Got a lot of new music. I did release a new song. Hopefully you've heard it, and if not, it's called "It's a Boy." It's currently out on my Spotify and all streaming services. I made a cute little music video, quite intimate, which is not something I tend to do, but I had the chords, right, ready to go. I don't usually use kind of those ambiguous kind of open chords. I never use capos, really, for my own music at least. And right before he came into the world, I was when we were just kind of like waiting for, we knew he could come at any minute. I just sat down with the guitar one morning, and it was very peaceful, and I was just kind of in one of those moods of preparing myself to welcome this little champion man. And I knew I didn't have the words for it, and so we spent was it three days? Well, I guess technically four days in the hospital, Just making sure he was A-okay. And it was a lot, pretty funny too. Like an hour before we got discharged, you fill out all the paperwork and everything. And one of the nurses is like, "Oh, yeah, just by the way, if you want us to bring him to like the nursery so you can get some, if you want to relax a little bit." And we're like, "Wait, that you can do that?" It was, it was just like 3 days of just like, I don't know what's going on. And you're in this, tiny little hospital room, and hospitals are terrifying enough for me. Shout out to everyone who works in a hospital. That's something I could never do. But we finally, we brought him home, and we had dinner. And I'll tell you what, as a new parent, bringing them home for the first time, wow, that is a trip, because, you're surrounded by nurses and doctors and everyone. And there's a security for sure. You feel like, oh, they're showing you how to swaddle them and all that jazz. And suddenly you're just back to where you live. And we're very, very fortunate to have a beautiful, beautiful home. And there's a serious nesting phase. I knew we needed to move further out into the country, or at least I wanted to move way further out, kind of into no man's land, kind of, because there's something about bringing a child into the world with a strong sense of nature and the outdoors, and I think that's one of the big things that I definitely, looking back at my childhood, I certainly treasure the ability to spend time outside and not have a million people around you and all that. But we, the day that he came home, I kind of grabbed the guitar and I was thinking about it, and I was just feeling very emotional, a lot of new emotions, deep, into the deepest parts of your soul kind of emotions. And, you add sleep deprivation on top of that. and wrote the lyrics to "It's a Boy." And it was very, very sweet. I was in the dining room and just sitting where I just finished dinner, and my darling and the baby were over in the living room, and she was feeding him, and it just like just came out of the ether of the universe, which was a direct transmission of love from whatever higher power certainly tends to be out there. And I wrote it in my book that I write everything in, and Chelsea kind of was hearing, she knows the process. She's seen me write a lot of songs, and so she kind of knows, like, oh, it's happening. And she had commented, like, hey, can I hear what you have so far? And I was like, absolutely. And I made it about 4 seconds in before I just cried harder than I've cried in years. Good tears, tears of joy, absolutely, which are the best kind. And so she starts crying, and it was just kind of one of those things, I've written so many songs, thousands of songs, and most of them are trash, or at least most of them. It's very rare when you get one like that, and I hope you like it, because I really like it a lot. And capo, third fret, and some really smooth, soft finger picking. And the capo, I've been listening to a lot of Hank Williams and Randy Newman, and a lot of capo action going on. And so, yeah, there's just a nice little progression there. And I think it really sums up, of all the songs I've ever written, that one may sum up how I was feeling at that exact moment. And it's cool, you know, my parents came to visit from Michigan. They came down to Texas, and they got to meet my son, and it was a love fest for just under a week. Sorry, I just yeeted Kiki. She's all good. She was trying to nuzzle up to the microphone. It's so crazy. She has been absolutely, like, totally ignoring me for like weeks. Because, well, you know, I think there's definitely like a, I suppose she's his big feline sister, so there's some serious jealousy going on. We're working on it. She's been good. She hasn't like lashed out or anything like that, but I kind of, you know, you anticipate these things. She was the baby, right? She's about a year and a half old now, almost a year and a half. And she was just the beacon of, you know, everything that is adorable. And then suddenly you've got this perfect little, you know, child who, you know, Chelsea's dressing him up in these just the cutest, you know, little bunny hats and sailor suits and just, you know, just funny shit, basically. Because he has no idea what's going on and no control, and is, you know, it's parent stuff. But so she's just kind of wondering, like, what the heck's going on? But fear not, my dear listeners. She is still spoiled like you wouldn't believe. She's getting fed 3 of her favorite treats that she likes. Oh, I said the T word. She's looking at me. Anyway, so parents were in town, and my father, which is, you know, is a very very interesting thing. You know, 3 generations in one room of boys, and you know, he let me know that. What did he say? He said the song is a perfect heirloom, and I thought that was really sweet because one day when hopefully I'm here for it, but you never know what happens in life. But hopefully when he's a grandfather, or when he's a father, he'll be able to share that music with his son or daughter. And you know, music is one of those kind of magical things that it lives on forever. And I think that's a big reason, especially the older I get, the more I become conscious of what it means to be a songwriter and a creative individual. And recently I went back and listened to my entire catalog for the first time in a very long time. And it's a really kind of a trippy thing. Most of the time I just kind of set it and forget it. I've got songs that I forgot I wrote. Actually, when my parents were here, my mother at one point was like, "Oh, we were in the store and we heard that one song," and she kind of like hummed a part of it and remembered the lyrics. And I was like, God, how do I know that song? And I was like, oh, I wrote that. It's weird, you know. It was just like, for a while there, I was just on like hyperdrive, just like right. Just like, gotta write something that's, I mean, if I'm being fully transparent, like, gotta write a hit. And then the hilarity of all of that is it's the songs that you thought about the least that people tend to like. Such is life. But we do really like our royalties. Be sure to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer on whatever streaming service that's on. And some Riot Games video game, apparently, that lately the syncs have been coming in, so that's good. Because that's the gift that keeps on giving. So, which is hilarious, because when people, it's such a strange thing to me. I've talked about this a little bit before, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around, people will, when they try to insult you, on the World Wide Web, and I think this is just a misunderstanding for them of like how publishing works, but they'll, every once in a while, it's been pretty great, actually. Lately, especially, I don't really get too much hate, but I also haven't been, purposely trying to, poke, communities of insane people, to get them to watch whatever I'm making or whatever. It's something I used to do. But the only real kind of like mean comments I get, people are like, oh, go stream, this album, or, you flopped, listen to this. And I'm like, I wrote that too. Like, I make money every day from that. Like, like, yes, please. Like, that stuff's streaming like more than my own stuff. So yeah, like, trying to get some more guitars. Oh, which, by the way, I haven't spoken. I haven't really commented on. I have a new favorite guitar, and I'm on a very strict regimen. I play music for my son an hour a day. I sing to him. Lately, I've been singing him stuff. Really, that my mother sang to me when I was a youngster. So a lot of like Sound of Music and. What else? I've been singing him songs from the original soundtrack from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and what else? A lot of Hank Williams, and I mean, yes, I've been singing him the song that I wrote for him too. I've got the chord that comes after the B7 in the, well, it's not a B7 because it's capo third fret, but imagine you have capo third fret if you play guitar or music. But after the B7, I play a C that has, instead of having the extra C on the B string, that's open, and then there is, instead of the open E, it's a G. My music theory is not to the point at this very moment to let you know, but the notes in the chord would be, what would that be? C, D, G, B, G. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you what chord that is, but I like how ambiguous it sounds, and it's very. If there's one chord that makes me if there's one sound, I guess I should say, other than like the cute goo goo gagas that he does, the sound of being a father for the first time, it's that. For the non-musicians listening, I apologize if that sounds ambiguous, but I think for the musicians listening, I think maybe that might connect. Certain sounds have different different ways of making you feel. It's not so much about making you think a certain way; it's making you feel a certain way. Movies do it to a degree. Videos and whatever that means now, that visual medium can definitely kind of do it. Even though I've made a lot of visual things, the sound and the music has been kind of utmost importance. That's just kind of the way I've found, at least since I was probably 12 or 13, to translate the inner dialogue is putting the right melody with the right words over the right chord at the right time. That's what I try to do. And I think you'd be fascinated by how many people who are who don't think about that at all. Two different things, right? You can be a performer and not be an artist, is what I'm getting at. And there's nothing wrong with being one or the other. So I suppose that's about it for tonight. I've been having a lot of success with Lander. As far as they have a really cool way of bringing artists, musicians, producers, songwriters together, and I've written some songs for artists and bands that I was not familiar with before, and there's a couple that I'm really excited about. I'm sure you'll see if you follow me on social media. It's at Titanic Sinclair. Just about everywhere except for TikTok. It's X Titanic Sinclair X. If you know who has that TikTok, I've reached out to them. I like to keep it concise, and that's why I didn't use TikTok for the longest time. Before I even knew what it was, someone grabbed my name. That's kind of what happens. And so X Titanic Sinclair X on TikTok, which is pretty silly, if that's your format of choice. But on Lander, you can reach out to me if you're a songwriter, or if you're a producer, or maybe an engineer. You're looking for a mix or a production or a hook, things like that. I have those services available, and I'm sure you could just Google Lander Titanic Sinclair, but I believe the actual link is network.lander.com/users/Titanic Sinclair. And I can give you feedback, or write a hook for you, or mix your song, produce a song, all those sorts of things. And it's a really great way, because I never felt comfortable. People, message me all the time or send me emails and, hey, can you mix this? And I'm not. I don't have a manager anymore. I'm a free agent, and I never really felt super comfortable negotiating. But I just have flat fee things there, which is cool, because I did them at a severely discounted rate specifically for independent artists. If you're a signed artist, have your manager get in touch with me and we'll talk. but for the vast majority, which are unsigned independent artists, I've cut the fees down drastically to just to where it's I don't feel like anyone's losing out on money or time, but still getting the highest value for the amount of time that each kind of individual thing tends to work out. But there's one in particular, this group, they're on Spotify if you'd like to check them out. They're called Sick 6. See what they did there? And really, really kind of fun stuff. And they were super, super cool and really fun to work with. And I don't want to drop the title of the song yet because I don't know what the final title is going to be, but I got to say what we worked on for that, I'm really, really excited about. And they were really, really, really stoked on the stuff that I did, kind of in the I Have Teeth era. And we're just kind of like, hey, you know, can we kind of do something like that? And I was like, oh, let me dust off this old Dan Electro here. And we came up with something really cool. So once that's out, I'll be promoting that, because they were super, super sweet, really, really cool people. And if you'd like to be a part of that, by all means, hit me up there, or if you want to, you know, send me an email or whatever, and I can send you links and stuff. So it's very streamlined now, and really Lander makes it really, really easy. And apparently Spotify has their own too. A friend of mine who's a big mixing engineer turned me onto that. And also want to shout out Down and Smiley, which is where these podcasts will live as well. Insanely cool network of artists that my very dear friend Dustin Martian he just started it up. He's curating it. If you're bored, we're at the end of this now, you're looking for something else to check out Down and Smiley. You can find it on Instagram or just Google it or whatever. And he's just got like an encyclopedic knowledge of cool stuff, way beyond anything that I could really recommend. So I'm just going to recommend what he recommends. And of course, you know, all of you out there, you know, liking and subscribing on all the things. I'm putting this on Spotify, of course. Follow on Spotify, Titanic Talks, and liking and subscribing on YouTube really helps. Drop a comment, because man, you hear people say it all the time, but it really does help. And you know, it's a way that someone like me can really do things the way that that I want to do, and we don't have to listen to you know, some executive and you know, have the uncomfortable meetings with the suits. It's just me, and hopefully we're gonna get some new merch out there soon. That's part of doing it yourself too, is having a merchandising operation. that can be a bit of a trick. And I honestly, I don't know if anyone's even interested. So if you are interested, please reach out and let me know, because you know, it's kind of a spooky thing to be like, you know, should I go get any of this stuff made when people, I don't even know if people want it. I gotta say, just being honest, really want to get some vinyls printed. But you know, do you listen to records? Would you actually want a record? I want one just because I've got a physical print of everything that I've worked on except for my solo albums. So yeah, please let me know. I'm all ears, and any way that you can vibe out, and if you know people who might be into this kind of thing, whether it's the music or the videos or even this podcast, it all really helps, and I really do appreciate it. And new music is coming soon. I'm about 24 hours away from uploading the next single. It's called Can't Tell Anymore. You know, I can't, I've never really been that great at teasing things, but all I can say about this, I'm pretty sure it's an album. I've got songs I'm like, should I really put that out? And all of you can go thank Chelsea for her encouragement and letting me know that, hey, you've got way too many fun songs that shouldn't just sit on your hard drive anymore. So the new stuff's really fun, y'all. Foot tapping, just good vibes, really fun stuff, and stuff that you can dance to and groove to, and really good driving music. So anyway, I've talked enough here. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to go check on my darling and my little boy, and give them big ol' smooches. So we'll talk soon. Trying to now that life is kind of getting somewhat back to normal, trying to get back onto the weekly thing again. Podcast a week, Illuminati Island episode every week, as well as a new, I hesitate to call it computer show, but really that's what it is. So that's what we'll call it. Another computer show coming as well. So, all right, y'all, you are the best. Thank you so much. And peace and love and hugs and kisses to all of you, and be nice to one another, and we'll talk very soon. All right. Take care now.